Activists are calling for an 11th-hour intervention by Alabama Governor Kay Ivey to halt the execution of a black prisoner set for this evening. Nathaniel Woods was sentenced to be executed by lethal injection, convicted of multiple counts of capital murder and attempted murder for the 2004 killings of 3 police officers, in which authorities say a co-defendant was the gunman. Prosecutors argued that Woods conspired in the killings, which occurred when officers tried to serve a misdemeanor domestic assault warrant on him. Woods' family members and supporters have argued that the co-defendant said he was the sole person responsible for the shootings, and also claimed there are outstanding questions about the fairness of Woods' trial, arguing that Woods had ineffective counsel and the trial itself had multiple errors. The non-profit death penalty organization Center says, quote, Woods' racially charged convictions and death sentences are tainted by claims of police corruption, intimidation of witnesses, and inadequate representation. In Alabama, being an accomplice to a murder can also result in a death sentence and remains the only state in the country where a jury does not have to unanimously impose the death penalty. A federal judge Monday dismissed Woods' request for a stay of execution. The U.S. Supreme Court turned down Woods' appeal last year. Morning Joe has reached out to the Alabama governor's office for a comment and has yet to hear back. Our next guest has called upon Alabama's governor to halt the execution of Nathaniel Woods, set for today. Joining us now, civil rights leader Martin Luther King III.
Martin, thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it. This is a case where family members, lawyers, supporters, outside groups, civil rights leaders all say that this man was not involved in the murder, and there's evidence to suggest that. And yet, tonight at 6 p.m., if things don't change, he's going to get executed. Tell us why you got involved in this case.
So thank you for the opportunity. I got involved when I found out about the gross, I don't want to say negligence, but how the system, the legal system, seems not to be working. Certainly Mr. Woods had an incompetent lawyer on capital cases, not incompetent generally, but perhaps on capital cases, because it's very clear to me that if there's any inkling of doubt that someone innocent may be killed, then it seems to me that that should not happen. And because, as you've stated, the gentleman who did the actual murders came forward and has stated that there was no involvement, that they were not operating together, it would just seem that the governor would provide a stay. That seems to fall on deaf ears, and what it feels like to many in the African-American community is, once again, this is like a lynching. An innocent person is slated to die this evening, and that should be unacceptable. The legal system has got to do better, or justice certainly has to be served in some responsible fashion, it seems to me.
Karine is with us and has a question. Karine.
Hi there, Martin. Good to see you again. My question to you is, how do people get involved in this fight? And not just in this case, but in the broader, in the broader fight to stop, to end the death penalty?
So I think that Amnesty International is one of the great organizations that I've been involved in, and everyone is not against the death penalty, obviously, but I believe we have to create a consciousness in this country. I'm against it. You know, I'm a victim of violence. My father was gunned down by an assassin. My grandmother was gunned down. My father by a white man, my grandmother by a black man. And I have always been against the death penalty. I think it's an archaic form of punishment. I think that we are better than the way that we operate. And I think it's mostly consciousness. Ultimately, when you think about developing nations, we are one of those nations that continues to believe, okay, if you do something, we're going to come and get you. you, and this is what feels good momentarily. But I just have to believe we have to continue to mobilize people in the nation and world so that ultimately elected officials will come around to this position. It obviously is going to take some time, but we should never give up.
Well, the case is, again, Nathaniel Woods, 44. He is set to die at 6 p.m. tonight. The man who actually committed the murder has said he had nothing to do with the crime, as have civil rights leaders, lawyers, outside groups, and yet he is still set to die at 6 p.m. unless the governor of Alabama does something about it before then. Martin Luther King III, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
we
you.
greatly appreciate you bringing this to our audience's attention.
And that does it for us this morning. Stephanie Ruhle picks up the coverage right now.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.